Hello, and welcome to the show Goldsquadrongays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays break down each episode of their favorite Star Wars TV shows while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
And I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
What? So, hi, I'm your other host, Charles Rogers, and Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is a very good game.
That's not a bit. Oh my god.
Look, I promised Bradley that I was not playing it in the other window. I super swore this, but it seems that at a critical moment, my deception has been revealed.
You can actually play it on the computer?
Yeah, you can actually play it on the computer.
Oh, I thought it was just like an Xbox Switch thing.
You would be surprised. It's actually surprising because most of the times the Lego games are absolute fucking garbage on the PC ports. Like, I love them to death. I've played most of them on the PC. Most of them I can't even finish just because they're so buggy or something will break halfway through. There's a really annoying one in Lego Lord of the Rings, which otherwise is the best Lord of the Rings game ever made. But Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is a very good and long game that's consumed all of my thoughts and actions for the past week.
Nice.
Bradley, of course, doesn't play video games.
Not Lego video games. No, I do not.
Well, I don't think they have a Switch port for it. So.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Also, I've been randomly playing the new Kirby game on Switch, which is hilariously fun. And I haven't played a dumb, stupid, fun game in a long time. So this is it's a nice, relaxing treat on my time off before I have a new job.
I technically own a Switch, but Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is just such an engrossing game that I haven't had time to pick up my Switch in a hot minute. I really want to get Republic Commando. They're releasing a bunch of like old Star Wars games for the Switch, which Bradley, you're well aware of.
Yes. I forgot about that until just now, because I haven't played it in a few days. But yes, I have been playing Knights of the Old Republic on my Switch and recording myself doing it and trying to stream it. I don't know. I'm not very good at it. Like, I think I've said this before, but it's like, I don't quite understand how it's supposed to work, and maybe it's just because one, I'm new to streaming, but two, also I think it helps to actually have people watch you play. I think that's part of it. Like, if no one's watching you play, then it's kind of stupid if you're just playing and talking to yourself, because that's kind of what I do.
We're still you can't see that anywhere yet because we're still kind of figuring out how it's going to work on the back end. But I, as much as anyone, am very curious to hear what Bradley thinks of Knights of the Old Republic, especially before the remaster comes out.
Well, you can, if you want to watch the two videos that he made and secretly put on our YouTube, and then they're hidden from public view, and then you can watch them and tell me.
We're figuring it out. So keep an eye on our YouTube channel if you haven't already. You might see some of Bradley, either the full thing or the highlights. We're still talking about how we want to do it.
Right.
This podcasting content creation thing is a constant stream of experimentation, and we have no idea what the hell we're doing. Speaking of not knowing what the hell we're doing, we are filling the time up until Obi-Wan Kenobi by rewatching the 2003 to 2005 Clone Wars microseries. If you're watching along with us, the conceit is I watched this when it first came out in 2005. Bradley has never seen it. And today we are going to be going over Chapter 23, which, if you're watching along with us at home, is 25 minutes and 14 seconds to 37 minutes and 41 seconds. It begins with the attack on Coruscant beginning, and it ends literally at the moment Grievous smashes through the window in the Chancellor's office. So if you haven't seen it yet, pause, run over to Disney Plus, watch the 12 minutes of content, and then come back. Bradley, what did you think of this episode?
Well, I rewatched it today in preparation for this recording, and I have to say this and the next chapter are probably the best two, I think, in terms of just what happens in them, the action that happens in them. I really, really love all the Coruscant scenes in this one, and then in the next chapter as well, but mostly in this one, because it gives these characters that are not Anakin and Kenobi something to do. And honestly, after watching it, I kind of wished that this entire plot, the Coruscant battle and everything, was in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I can see why they started it, because the Star Wars movies have this tendency to like they want to start in the middle of the action.
Right.
They don't want to spend a bunch of time explaining like, oh, here's how the Chancellor got kidnapped. Right. They want to just jump in with the Chancellor's kidnapped, action adventure right. Time now. Like the Rise of Skywalker, the way it started was mirroring that very heavily. Mm-hmm. Where it was like, we're going to skip all that boring setup stuff, and we're immediately starting with Kylo Ren fighting on Mustafar, which, you know, I have thoughts about, but that's why the film does that. So this was made, actually, if you remember from a previous episode, this came out ahead of Revenge of the Sith. So if you were watching along at home, you saw this, and then a few months later, you went to the theater and you saw how it picked up and continued in Revenge of the Sith.
So technically, for those viewers, this did happen in the movie.
Correct.
Technically, so
correct. This at least happened in sequential order. If you watched this and then you went to the movie, they came out in that order, which was alrighty. Let's dive right in with literally my favorite shot in the entire 2-volume series.
Oh, of Yoda sitting.
Of Yoda sitting there. So it opens and Yoda's like quietly meditating in his room. And then he's like, wait a minute. And he turns around and like the droid invasion fleet has already entered the atmosphere.
It's so dramatic.
Like it's such a funny, dramatic shot where it's like,
I know.
Oh, no.
I was saying that could have been like the opening to Revenge of the Sith. That would have been such a cool like thing if you just like a slow fade in on Yoda. He's sitting there quietly, and then all of a sudden his eyes open really quickly, and then he turns around dramatically, and then pulls the curtain.
It has to start in space, Bradley. All the Star Wars movies start in space.
You say that, but in what was it? The Last Jedi, they thought about not doing it in space and tricking us with the deleted Finn scene. So
yes, and thankfully they did not go with that route. That would be
I don't know. It's kind of creative.
Too many. Once a version too many there. No, I adore this shot. This is this little sequence is my favorite in the entire thing. But yes, Coruscant is under attack. Somehow that happened. This is an animated series for children that's focused on the cool Jedi and clone fights. So we're not going to explain how that happened. Mace Windu bursts in. He's like, Coruscant is under attack. We get a shot that's like, I just noted this here because so, as you know, if you're a long-term follower of the show, I have been in a relationship for about a year now. He was not a Star Wars fan when we started dating. I have slowly converted him to our ways, and we just started watching Clone Wars. So we watched the original trilogy era, we watched The Mandalorian, and then we jumped back so he would have context for Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
We just hit Clone Wars, and specifically, we just hit the Battle of Christophsis. So I actually have in my notes, there's a shot of the same droids that they use at Christophsis in this. And they're walking around. It's the 3-legged ones with like the lasers. It's the same droids.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool because I don't remember those being in any of the movies.
They're the ones that kind of like not bounced, but they're like the round heads and the little feet.
Yeah, they got like the round heads and the little feet, and they shoot the laser, like the prolonged laser beams, not the laser.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same droids as Christophsis.
Okay.
Which I thought was neat because, again, I don't remember them being in any of the films. I would need to double check. This is the thing Charles didn't research, and he's not going to research what those droids are called so he can Wikipedia it. So if you know the answer, don't tell me. I promise you I looked it up immediately after this recording. Otherwise, it was going to drive me crazy.
Speaking of Mace Windu.
Speaking of Mace Windu.
We have some cleaning up to do.
Do we have... Oh, fuck me. Okay. Bradley, do you this may go down in history.
I'm sure there's someone out there.
The biggest thing the Goldsquadrongays fucked up because both of us, I am laying blame at least 50% on you, Bradley.
Yeah, I
both
will take
of us
that
should have
because
noticed that.
We definitely should have.
We should have noticed this. Please tell the people at home the horrified text that you sent me last night.
So we were talking about Marvel shows as we do outside of our standard talking of Star Wars because we like to save a lot of our Star Wars talk for the podcast to make it interesting. And so we were talking about Moon Knight, and we were talking about you know, Oscar Isaac himself, and we were talking about how he doesn't have
Daddy.
we were talking about how he doesn't have the Disney trifecta like Ming-Na has. And because he is in a Marvel thing, but I was like, oh, it's kind of cool because he has what's called, I coined the phrase last night. I was like, the Marvel trifecta, whereas he is in a standard Marvel Studios movie / TV show. He is also in the X-Men movies, the first class movies, not the original. And then he's also in a animated Sony Spider-Man film. And I was like, oh, this is cool because he kind of has like a Marvel trifecta. And I was like, too bad nobody else in Star Wars besides Ming-Na has a Disney trifecta. And I just stupidly, I was like, you know what? Let me look it up, because I looked up like Chris Evans has been like in Fantastic Four, and he was also Captain America. And I was like, oh, maybe there's like some other people who have just been in a Marvel thing and a Star Wars thing. So I was looking it up, and my dumb ass, the first thing that pops on there is the only other person that has a Disney trifecta that we've never mentioned before, ever in the history of ever, because we're stupid and we didn't see this. But Samuel L. Jackson has a Disney trifecta, and we are so dumb for not realizing.
Do you want to tell the people what his trifecta is?
So in terms of Star Wars, you know, he is obviously Mace Windu in the prequels. In terms of Marvel, of course, you all know him, Nick Fury, for either Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or, you know, the Avengers or whatever.
You know who the fuck Nick Fury is, yes.
Right. And then we're so stupid. I didn't realize he had a Disney thing. He is a fucking voice in The Incredibles as Frozone,
which
Pixar
is
film.
Pixar, which
and
is
I was like,
Disney.
How did we not catch that? Like, I don't understand how, because I'm not stupid. I know Samuel L. Jackson is Frozone. Like, that's not something that people just don't know. Like, that's common knowledge. So the sheer fact that we were ignoring the fact that
we
Samuel L.
fucking
Jackson
forgot about Pixar. We forgot about Pixar. That's
what it was.
The problem. Jeez.
Well, and then I think it is animated ones are a little harder to remember sometimes, because you're just like, it's not in the forefront of your mind that, you know, animated counts for the trifecta, but it does. So
this is extremely embarrassing for us. And we do apologize for having put out over 50 episodes at this point. I think we're either coming up to or we've passed 60, including the bonus episodes. And neither of us realized that Samuel L. Jackson also has the Disney trifecta. So, Mr. Jackson, we are so sorry about this.
I know.
This is entirely on us. We will give you your due going forward.
Well, I was gonna say, even to top it all off, chronologically, he is the first person to have the Disney trifecta. So it's even worse that we didn't even give him the honor of being the first, and Ming-Na technically has the honor of the second person. So although Ming-Na Wen not only was in a 2D animated Disney film, she was a Disney princess. True. So that is a little higher up on the
Samuel
Pixar,
L. Jackson did it first.
Right.
But I would say Ming-Na Wen has the better one.
She has the better one because
I would argue about as high as you can get.
On the Disney level, yes. I would also argue, though, she gets the benefit of being, you know, the same character twice, you know, on an animated level and in live action. So she kind of even has like an even bigger one.
Well, I don't know. It's not the same character, but she's in the Mulan remake. She's in the movie.
No. I'm talking about. Well, even though then that's an even different trifecta on its own, because
because she's also in the
live action Disney
movie.
She's in a live action Disney and an animated Disney. I was talking about how she plays Fennec Shan, both cartoon and live action.
Shit, you're right.
So she has almost what we'll call now a Star Wars trifecta, which is if you can play and voice your character in both an animated thing, a TV thing, and a movie. So if Fennec Shan shows up randomly in a movie at some point, she would get a Disney or Star Wars trifecta.
Keep your a pen in that, listeners, because it's a movie live action, and keep your pin in that, listeners, because
Like some people are close.
I know things that I have heard about
Ooh.
upcoming properties. We might get one of those in the near future.
A Star Wars trifecta. Yeah, because
So
I
you
was
got
going
to
to
be
say
in an animated thing, a live action thing,
live action, and a movie.
and a movie. Okay, I wonder if anyone.
I would count TV
Mark
show
Hamill.
and movie as separate.
Mark Hamill has already got one.
Okay, fair. Yeah, because he was in the show. You're right.
He's Luke Skywalker in the movies. He is the voice at the very least of Darth Bane in the Clone Wars, and he is the voice of the EV droid in Mandalorian that I can remember off the top of my head.
Okay, well then I'm gonna create a separate trifecta called the Star Wars Prime trifecta, where you play the same character. You have to play the same character.
Okay.
So you can't.
Again, keep your ear on that. I've heard things.
Well, the only other one I can think of is C-3PO, but he's never been in a TV show, so
that's true. Work. He has not been in a TV show.
R2D2 is the only person. I'm just kidding.
R2D2 has it in the bag.
He has it in the bag. Well, no, Mark Hamill technically, because he was in Mando, so that's the TV show. He's in the movie, and did he ever voice Luke ever?
Oh, geez, I have to double check this.
In Clone Wars or anything?
Yeah, I'm inclined to give him Mandalorian because they are using his voice, and he did contribute.
Right. I would count that. Yeah.
He did the body movement for. He did the body movement for the actor to go off of.
Right. No, I definitely count that.
Has he provided?
Yeah, has he provided the voice? Because, like, for example, Oscar Isaac has done Poe Dameron in Resistance, and he's been in the movie.
Yes. Mark Hamill is the voice of Luke Skywalker in the 2018 canon animated TV series Star Wars Forces of Destiny.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
So Mark Hamill is the king of the
at least
Star Wars
already.
Prime trifecta.
Yes. God. I listen to a lot of other podcasts, and of course, one of the ones that I listen to, Dark Side Divas. I'm friends with Chris. We've had both Chris and Steph on our show. They had a listener because they have counters on their show, like the war crimes counter and the Bail Organa Bails counter. One of their fans actually was tracking all of the counters. Oh, so I just want to say, if you're trying to track all the trifectas that we're doing, don't.
Because we're not.
We're making it up as we go along, and we're not. All right. Dragging us back to.
I was gonna say back to Mace Windu.
Mace Windu, who has a purple Jedi Starfighter, because of fucking course he does.
Purple everything.
Purple.
His droid's even purple.
His droid's purple. He's in Sisatenoff, and he's flying around. So we jump back to Nelvon. Obi-Wan and Anakin and the Nelvon tribe that we met in the last one are riding back to like their village. How nice of them that they brought just enough spare rides for Obi-Wan and Anakin to also be riding on them. But I do want to circle back to something that I said last week because I wanted to do some research on the influences on the Nelvons.
Okay.
And I was able to do a little searching. It hasn't been a good week for trying to do research, not just because of Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, but it's actually been a very, very busy week.
Okay.
Like I barely actually gotten to play Lego Star Wars this week. I couldn't find any primary sources where the creators themselves were talking about it, but I did find a very good article that I actually have previously linked on our Twitter. It is called Off the Res in the Galaxy Far, Far Away, the Native Influences on Star Wars. It is by a gentleman named Jordan Mason, writing for Cinelix. And I want to read a few quotes from it because they did at least a decent job of answering the question that I had last week. So I'm going to read two quotes. Quote, and it is important to note that Jordan Mason is Native American. Gotcha. So that is why this article is why I picked this one to read. Quote, the influences with the Nelvonians are almost too numerous to count and are instantly visible for all to see. Warriors had initiation rituals that needed to be completed. Mothers carried babies in papooses, and they covered themselves in tribal markings before going into battle, end quote. Later on, he says, quote, there had been minor native references throughout the expanded universe, but this was full-on representation. For the rites of passage and overall character designs, this was the most of my own culture I'd seen in my favorite franchise. The quotes that I skipped are him talking a little bit about whether or not he feels that the narrative is a white savior narrative. I'm not going to get into that, but this is him talking about being a Native American person and seeing the influences on it. So it looks like, at the very least, this one writer saw that and was able to identify a few things that were inspired. So I would be interested, if I can find it, I really want to go looking for it, if I can find some specific inspirations on the design of these people and how they drew from Native American culture to do that. Because I just thought it was really neat. Like off the top of my head going, and you know how they have the buildings carved into the walls? Mm-hmm. It reminded me of the buildings, Pueblo, I think, buildings that are carved into like the sides of canyons in the American Southwest. So I thought
you were going to say from Revenge of the Sith, where they have the tunnels in the one planet.
No, I'm specifically talking about a real thing that you can go and visit. Or at least I don't want to make promises that you can go and visit it, but like that type of building carved into the side. I just thought that was really neat. I'll probably link the article on our Twitter again. Great article. It goes into like all the Native American influence on the design of Star Wars, from everything from the EU to the current canon. It's very, very good. But I wanted to read that because I really liked those quotes. And Obi-Wan is like translating the language for Anakin. And he says like, oh, you travel around with Qui-Gon, you learn these things. Again, Qui-Gon being all over this fucking show.
It's like, why? Like, I just don't quite understand what the point was, especially since he's not even mentioned in Revenge of the Sith.
Narratively, Obi-Wan, somebody has to know how to translate.
Well, yes, that part makes sense. Sure.
But the reason they gave for it being Qui-Gon, I thought was interesting because Qui-Gon doesn't get a lot of characterization in the films. Like he's in the first one and then he comes back up in Revenge of the Sith. Like he's mentioned at the end of the movie as, oh, he figured out how to not die. We don't get a lot of characterization of him. We know he's kind of a maverick. We know he's like not in lockstep with the Jedi Council, but we don't know a whole lot about like what he was up to. I love just this little line about like he would take the type of missions where you had to like pick up languages very quickly. I just think that's an interesting character beat. Do you have any other notes on this sequence?
No, because honestly, I kind of zoned out during these scenes in this episode because I hated the whole entire subplot of Anakin.
Oh, you did in the rest. You did not like Anakin having to go and blow up the Techno Union thing.
It is stupid. I didn't like it.
It feels repetitive now, and we'll get to why, but it feels like the central thesis of this, they did it again, but better in Mortis. And we'll get to that specific scene next episode.
What's Mortis?
Bradley, how long ago did you see the Clone Wars?
It's been 47 years.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Yeah, I haven't watched Clone Wars in years.
I've been listening to all these Clone Wars watch podcasts and watching it again now. So like I remember, don't remember the Mortis arc, the Force Gods of Mortis?
Barely tell you what happens and before
Ahsoka fucking dies in it.
No, no, don't remember that at all.
I am embarrassed for you.
I remember about 3 episodes from Clone Wars. One of them, it doesn't even happen. They have a fucking vision where they all go to a fake Force planet, and there's the father and the sister and the brother.
Yes, that's the fucking Mortis arc, Bradley.
Oh, I didn't know what it was called.
That's the Mortis. The planet is called Mortis. Oh my God, you. Oh my God. Oh,
I actually like that episode.
Well, clearly, it's like one of 3 you fucking remember. That's okay. Listeners, we understand that Bradley is a twink. Therefore, he has 3 brain cells and really can only devote like half of one to Star Wars. So that's okay. I will remember everything for him. The only other plot element to this is that basically all of their champions have disappeared. Anakin interrupted what was supposed to be a rite of passage for like this young boy to become an adult so that he could go look for the other people who went missing. And that's the concern, is there's something bad happening. All their men are gone. Now they're trying to elevate like teenagers up to go because they're just literally running out of people. Back on Coruscant, we get this sequence where like a missile comes in and destroys part of Padme's apartment. And then C-3PO wanders out like, I want to talk to your manager.
It's just silly C-3PO comedy.
Very droids.
We just gotta throw it in
very
there.
droids humor. Like it's just, it's in there. It's in there. I did note that one of the things they destroy is like the shuttle platform from episodes 1 and 2. Oh, you can see one falling down. I did think that was neat. Let's talk about Mace Windu and the droid Starfighter.
I'm telling you, dude, this would have been a better opening sequence as the Battle of Coruscant with Mace Windu and Yoda. I think that would have been your opening for Revenge of the Sith, is those two trying to defend the city, and then they cut to space where Anakin and Obi-Wan are trying to go after, Palpatine to rescue him.
I don't know if I would have started with that, but maybe if you were to do like a 4-hour supercut of Revenge of the Sith.
Oh no, it would have to be 4 hours.
It would be neat to see some of the ground battle that's happening, because we're only stick to space. So I guess the implication is they weren't able to land any ground forces, but here we see they actually did manage to land ground forces. Like that would have been cool to see.
I probably would have kept all of this battle in the supercut of Revenge of the Sith. I would have kept all of it because I think it's so cool. Especially with Mace Windu destroying all this stuff and he's flying through the air. And
he like grabs hold of the thing and he's running around. On the other hand, some of these scenes I think work a little better in animation than they would.
Oh, probably, yeah.
So,
but we can dream.
We can dream. We can dream. Yeah, he like zips around on it and then it cuts up to the fucking space battle. Oh my God. Oh my God. First of all, let's talk about the amount of ships that are involved in this. It's a lot. There's like dozens of them in the frame at one point when it's like panning up to the space battle. It's so good. Like there's just the scale of it is huge. And like I talked about before, one thing this show has on the 2003 show is because of the medium this one, but on the 2008 show, the 2003 show, because of the way that it is animated, it can give more of a sense of scale than a lot of the episodes for the 2008 series.
Right.
They can't really do this massive scale. Here, just throw some more ships in. We'll be fine.
Yeah, why not? Just throw a couple hundred more in the background.
And then the space jump happens.
I do love Sasatine, or whatever his name is.
Sasatine.
Sasatine.
Sasatine, I think is how you say his name. We're famously bad at pronouncing him. Oh, yeah, no, it's sick as hell.
I mean, first of all, I think just his character design of the horns coming out of his head, but then he goes and puts on the helmet, making him look more like a knight, like a true, like almost Knights of the Round Table kind of like knight. And then he leads the spacewalk. Again, why was this not on in the movie? I don't know. It would have been fucking cool to see a spacewalk battle.
Yeah, I love the shot where the doors are opening and you get the sense of how many troops he's got with him. It's just this massive, like, huge thing. Now, the trooper he does talk to, so he talks to a trooper that has identical armor to Fordo, and I think that the subtitles identify him as Fordo. Maybe not. I might be confusing that with earlier when they miscaptioned Cody.
I'll have to go back and look because I don't know.
But one of my questions later on was like, how does Fordo get onto the ground? I do think that this is just a different clone trooper wearing the same armor.
That's true. There's a lot of them, so
confusing.
Right.
Yeah. Sesiten just fucking space jumps over and takes control of one of the ships, which is just fucking
Awesome.
rad.
Yeah.
If you have not watched this show at this point, if you've listened to all of our coverage without watching the show, or in fact, if you have listened to our coverage without rewatching the show, I highly recommend you go do that because my descriptions are not
they don't do justice.
doing this justice. Back on Nelvon, we get like a scene where basically Anakin is chosen to go, and the reason he's chosen is because of the mechanical hand, which I noted because Bradley, I know you love the mechanical hand.
I do love the golden hand. I think that's probably one of the best designs or things that Star Wars ever done. I just thought it was, I don't know. I think I always loved it because Attack of the Clones was always my favorite as a kid.
That's okay. We forgive you.
And he only has it for that one tiny little part during their wedding at the end of the movie. And then it's gone forever after that. So
this one you get to like see it, and it's like not only is it a plot point, but he has it out for an extended period of time where he's got this mechanical hand out. So I did like that. I liked seeing that. That's something because it'd be more difficult to animate in the Clone Wars style. It's easier to just have him in the glove.
Right.
So I don't think we ever get to see it in the series, but here in the 2008 series, but here we do get to see it.
Does he have it in the 2008 series?
He got it chopped off in Attack of the Clones. I just
right,
think
but he doesn't.
I think he's wearing a glove the whole all 7 seasons.
Right, because I'm literally looking at the Disney Infinity version of him, which is from Clone Wars, and he's got the black glove, and then the other hand is ungloved, so it's his regular hand. So he only has like one solid black.
I think it just has a black glove.
Yeah, because he has his long hair. I think in Clone Wars at all times he never doesn't not have his long hair. So
back on Coruscant, Yoda's just like nah to the incoming droid forces. Which he's just like, nah. I don't have a lot of notes on these sequences.
I know, because they're just action sequences.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like that is the point of them. They're just awesome.
No, it's true. But I do like how this show, I don't know, gives Mace Windu and Yoda like basically injects them with cocaine, and then is just like, here you go, you guys have like amazing force powers now. And you can do on these giant scales that you can use them.
Yeah, that was something that did irk me about Legends, and something I think canon has done a little bit better, because in Attack of the Clones they have a whole sequence where they're like, hey, maybe we need to tell the Senate that our ability to use the force is diminished. Like we can't use the force as well as we used to because the dark side is clouding everything.
Got it.
And we see later on in the film, like Yoda struggles to lift the thing to save Obi-Wan and Anakin, when logically he shouldn't be struggling that much. We see the Jedi get fucking massacred at the arena, like when logically
there's only like 15 left, right? Yeah,
they should. It's like 18 or something.
Yeah.
That they should have just wiped the floor with them if they were this powerful. But then in Legends, you had a lot of things where the Jedi are just doing these amazing, like they wanted to push it like as far as they went. And the way they pushed it was by increasing the scale of what they could do with the Force. So then when they get back to Revenge of the Sith and it's like, we can't see anything because the dark side again, it's like, that's random. It is cool to see the Jedi do these things, but I also don't like seeing it at this point in the timeline, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, Bradley. We did finally get something we wanted in Volume 1. And we get it for the rest of the show. This continues. But Anakin does take his shirt off.
Okay. Whew. Thank God. That took us 23 chapters. But
took us 23 chapters, but we got there. we got there. Thank you, Genndy Tartakovsky, for doing that for us.
Right.
You did not have to have him be shirtless the whole time, but you did that for us. And I
was going to say, because one of my favorite scenes in Revenge of the Sith is when Anakin is having his little nightmare in his bed next to Padme, and he's completely shirtless and just sweating, and he's just like, he just like wakes up.
Listen, if you are someone who was a gay kid or gay teenager in the early 2000s, that scene did things for you.
Yeah.
That to this day you can't explain.
And it's long enough to where you can just watch it over and over again on a loop, and you're just like, yes.
You can pause it at just the right moments. Like
little
A
boobies
plus,
are there and everything.
A plus, A plus. So many people I've talked to that are like my age and gay were like, oh yeah, that was a huge part of my sexual awakening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they cover him in these like leeches, and they have him be shirtless the whole time, which thank you. And they send him on his way to go and deal with the thing. And that is the last of Anakin that we see for this episode.
Forever. I'm just kidding. He's never in the story ever again.
Yep, he's gone.
Yep, he's gone. He just goes away. He never comes back. It's weird.
Back on Coruscant, Fordo pulls some sick fucking shit. The clone trooper, when he's like, they're being overrun and he's just like trying to hold out. He's just picking up weapons and shooting the droids. Amazing. A plus. Gets reinforcements from Yoda and Mace Windu. And I just want to point out a specific move that Mace Windu does because I think it's rad as hell. So there's a point where Mace Windu is fighting the droids and he's fighting them with hand-to-hand combat. His lightsaber moves off of his belt with the Force, destroys a droid, and then he reaches up and catches it. And when I watched this, I literally had to cycle it back and watch it again. Because I was like, did he just force control his lightsaber to attack a thing behind him and then like catch it? Because that's a thing he can do, apparently.
It's like very Lego Star Wars throwing your lightsaber, back.
It is. It is. Well, this one, he's like moving it. He's not even using it.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good. And then we cut to Chancellor Palpatine.
Honestly, the best character of the entire Clone Wars.
Yeah, Palpatine's sitting in his office. Shaak Ti and some other Jedi we'll get to in just a second roll in, and they're like, hey, you should probably leave. And Palpatine is like, I don't know. This is around the time of the afternoon that I take my afternoon tea break, and really, I just can't be bothered to be interrupted while I'm doing that. And this window, this giant glass window, gives me such an impressive view of the city. I think I'll just stay right here. And then Grievous just comes down behind him.
It's very like SpongeBob. It's like,
it's very Cartoon Network. It's very Cartoon Network humor.
Yeah.
Like it's very Cartoon Network humor.
It's like, what does that sound like? What is it's some kind of instrument that you would play, like where the character slides in. It's a slide.
I want to say.
Yeah, it's like a slide.
Yeah, it's like the slide that they do.
Right.
I want to talk about the two Jedi that are with Shaak Ti because they're gonna become important in chapter 24.
Okay.
Their names are Roran Korab is the Ithorian.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Tal's is named Fal Maldama.
Okay.
Is the name. Now, here's what's interesting about these characters. Do you remember all the way back in chapter 10, I want to say, when the Wolfman showed up?
Yes.
And I told you that the Wolfman was chosen in a poll by viewers.
Yes.
So they could vote on which Jedi they wanted to see in the Clone Wars show, and the Wolfman won. He was the most popular. So he got to be in one little sequence in, I think, chapter 10, and then shows up again, like real briefly, in chapter 22. Roran Korab and Fal Madama were two of the other choices on that poll.
Gotcha.
Who then turned up later to have bigger roles than the guy who actually won.
They were like, we're going to use all of them, but
we designed them. We're going to use all of them, but we're going to give the two guys who lost the bigger parts.
Right. The more important roles.
And they're going to actually fight Grievous, and it's going to be great.
And survive and not die in 3 seconds like anybody else.
No, they actually die.
No, I know. I'm saying in terms of like right away. Like,
oh yeah,
it takes them quite a while.
I don't think the Wolfman dies in either of his sequences, but his sequences are like 10 seconds long.
Right.
So
I'm talking about when like the other Jedis are facing off against Grievous in the final episode of Chapter 20. It's almost like a really quick fight. You know, there's only one really truly. I mean, 3 of them survive, but the other ones last like 3 seconds, so they're not very long. Or it's kind of like the joke of in Revenge of the Sith when you have Mace against Palpatine, and then there's 3 other Jedis there, and 2 of the Jedis last 3 seconds. Kit Fisto lasts at least 10 seconds, and then it's just him and Mace the rest of the time.
See, now you've got me thinking about the Revenge of the Sith novelization that used the old script. And that fight is significantly longer and also a lot more graphic. Yeah, this is my bi-weekly plug to read the Revenge of the Sith novel. It's technically Legends continuity, but it is the best adaptation of anything ever. And oh boy, is that fight a lot more violent in that book. It is crazy. My final note is that I love the window smash when he breaks the window in, which is also how this episode ended.
Very dramatic. So he stands there in the broken glass, and
like you watch it in the volume 2, it is now on Disney Plus, and you wouldn't be able to spot that. But yeah, that is where it ended originally.
Right.
Bradley, do you have any final thoughts on chapter 23?
Overall, definitely an improvement so far. Like I said, there's a lot of really good action sequences in this chapter. I think the back and forth between Anakin and Coruscant it helped because it was only 2 things to focus on. You didn't have to focus on 4 different storylines. You didn't like the chapter 21 and 22, which kind of jump a lot. This is a little bit more,
we are now in the plot of the season,
right?
So 2021 was like, oh shit, we have to like wrap up season volume 1, so we have to wrap up season 2,
right?
We found the script for Revenge of the Sith, so now we have to make some real fast character changes. And chapter 22 then had to basically be the beginning of season 3. Like that effectively is the start of the story.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I loved all the stuff on Coruscant. We will talk about Labyrinth of Evil next week. So if you were listening and you were like, why didn't Charles bring up Labyrinth of Evil? We will talk about it next week. I promise you. But I loved all that stuff. The Anakin side of the plot is growing on me. I wasn't wild about it when I originally saw it, and I also wasn't wild about it. I haven't been super wild about it because I don't think it goes far enough in terms of being the metaphor. Like there's a bit where he has like the vision in chapter 24. I think they could have pushed it farther because the rest of the plot is a pretty bog standard adventure, like except for the end. But we'll get to my issues with chapters 24 and 25. But I did like it more this time, having seen it. And I also just really love the Nelvinians in general. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm really enjoying this rewatch. So, all right. I have nothing else to say about this. Do you have anything else interesting to say, Bradley? Oh, who am I kidding? You never have anything interesting to say. Roll the socials.
Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gaze.
Did Charles fuck something up? Email us and let us know at goldsquadrongaze@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at goldsquadgaze, and you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at goldsquadrongaze. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gaze, where we post this podcast as well as exclusive video content.
Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gaze.
I literally have a note here that I don't remember.
Okay, what does it say?
It just says, "Don't fail yourself."
Don't fail yourself.
When Obi-Wan is
that's what
talking to
Obi-Wan says to him at the end before he leaves.
I have no idea why I noted this. Moving on.